Thank you. You may be seated.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Arizona Legislative District 30 Candidate Forum. We thank all of you who are here in person and our viewers at home. I am Denise Groff, Customer Experience Coordinator, Community Liaison for Bullhead City Tire Pros. My co-moderator tonight with me is Dana Walters, CEO of Bullhead City Mohave Valley Association of Realtors.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you guys for being here this evening. We want to remind everybody to please silence your cell phones. If you need to take an important call, feel free to exit out the back and do so. But let's respect our candidates' time and the questions that are going to be asked, and we have the least amount of interruptions.
And now we would like to welcome our 5 candidates this evening. Catherine Lopez Rajanimi. Mike Ganusio. Grace Heck. Carolyn Strecker. And David Rose. All our candidates were apprised for the forum's format prior to this evening and agreed to adhere to our regulations, which will now be explained.
So prior to taking their seats on stage, the candidates drew numbers from a bowl to determine their order. So they are seated up here in order. So we have David Rose, number 1. He'll be allowed to answer the opening question first, and then we'll continue with Carolyn Strecker, Grace Hecht, Mike Canuscio. Thank you. I've only said it like 10 times already. Catherine Rajmini.
Right. And then the
second question
will be answered by number 2 candidate, Carolyn Strecker, Grace Hecht, Mike Ganuscio, Catherine Lopez Rajanini, and David Rose. Respectfully, this process will continue until all questions have been answered by all candidates. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question. Should a candidate be personally referenced in another candidate's answer, they will be allowed a set 90-second rebuttal.
So the timekeeper is sitting in the front row. When the candidate has 30 seconds remaining in the answer, the timekeeper will hold up a card that says 30 seconds, indicating that you have 30 seconds to finish your answer. At 15 seconds, the timekeeper will hold up a card that says 15 seconds, please wrap up your answer, and then the stop card for please stop. If a candidate continues speaking, the candidate repeatedly goes over their time and speaks over another candidate's time, their microphone may be muted. Personal attacks on and around other candidates are out of order and will not be tolerated from the candidates or anyone in the audience. We're here to learn, and we're here to hear the answers to their questions that have been submitted, both online and in person.
Please note that this forum is being broadcast live and will be broadcast several times on the Bee's Facebook page and YouTube page. This forum is also being simulcast on the Murphy Broadcasting Bullhead City Facebook page and the Mohave Valley News Facebook page. Please silence your cell phones. We request that you treat all candidates fairly. Please refrain from applause until the last question has been answered by all candidates. Reminder, no campaign literature or signs are allowed in this room. The questions that we'll be asking our candidates this evening were publicly submitted via email or in person to Murphy Broadcasting. We will start a short 3-minute opening statement from each candidate, followed by a Q&A session.
And let's get started. Oh, just real quick, I want to say that Sam's Club donated cookies tonight, and the venue 837 donated water for you this evening as well.
Radio check. Test.
David Rose, we'll start with you for your opening, please.
Good evening. Thank all of you for being here. My name is David Rose, and it is an honor to be running to be your next state representative. A little about me. My family and I moved here in 2020 Our denomination brought us out to Lake Havasu City to pastor a church called Restoration Hope Church. And it is a great honor. We love Havasu. When we moved here, we fell in love with Arizona. I grew up in a broken home, and so ministry was not something I've seen in my foresight. I grew up in a broken, abusive home, and when I turned 18, started surrounding myself with the wrong people, ended up in and out of jail, where eventually I landed myself in prison. It was in prison where I committed my life to Christ and never looked back, and have committed myself to serving people. I'm also have the great honor of serving as a pastor to the White House, to President Donald Trump on our National Faith Advisory Board, and I also have the great honor of serving as the chief pastor of TPUSA Faith for the state of Arizona. Also serve as the president of the Lake Havasu Unified School District Governing Board, where we led our district to be the first in the nation to ban DEI in hiring practices and in curriculum. We also led our district to be the first in the nation, one of the first in the nation, to ban harsh chemicals in food dyes in school lunches, partnering with Representative Biasucci on his Mohave bill. And then we brought accountability back to the school district. We understand that funding in schools is an issue, so we had an audit done, and in our audit, we discovered $26 million of unused funds that had never been reported to our governing board. We took those funds, reallocated them to our school classrooms, and gave teachers the largest raise they had ever seen in the history of the district. And now our school district is able to hire American teachers again. We're very thankful for that. I've been endorsed by Representative John Gillette to replace him in the Arizona House, and I am looking forward to answering your questions tonight. And out of all the great endorsements I've had, the greatest endorsement that matters is yours, and I hope to earn that tonight and on election. My name is David Rose. God bless you, and God bless the great state of Arizona. Thank you for being here.
Carolyn Strecker.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you to Murphy Broadcasting for bringing us here. My name is Caroline Strecker. I have been in Mohave County for almost 20 years. I was originally from California, but my father was here, and he was a local physician. My father was Dr. Robert Strecker. He provided emergency care for both Needles, Parker, and then throughout Mohave County as well. I am a board-certified family nurse practitioner. I attended Mohave Community College, where I obtained my associates in nursing. I proceeded on to Grand Canyon University, and I got my bachelor's. I then applied to Georgetown University, and I attended their master's program to become a family nurse practitioner. But I found out very quickly throughout my second and third semester, I was the only student pretty much from the central border and on. There was nobody from California, Arizona, Utah, Nevada. I was the only student. Everybody else was in Maryland and on the East Coast. And why was that? I found out very quickly that their curriculum was pretty much filled with woke and DEI. And I was paying a very large amount, a very expensive tuition rate for curriculum that I didn't quite agree with. Throughout my health policy courses, I was criticizing the Affordable Care Act, and come to find out that one of my lead professors was one of the underwriters for Obamacare. Needless to say, I decided to transfer, and then I went to Maryville University in St. Louis, where I do have family out there, and I graduated with my master's in nursing. So between my father, myself, and actually my mother as well, but we have served Mohave County for over 50 years. My political experience is that I am a precinct committeeman. I have gone on to become a state committeeman, and I was actually one of the alternate delegates to help vote for President Trump at the 2024 RNC. I've also been a part of Arizona Young Republicans, and I was also one of their primary delegates to go to Nashville and also at their convention as well. I've been appointed by Supervisor Gould. I am currently your Vice President for the Mohave County Board of Health, and my big concerns are essentially the RISE acronym. Resources including water and energy, election integrity, safety for our law enforcement, and exceptional healthcare and education. I do teach at Mohave Community College, and my name is Caroline Strecker, and I hope to earn your vote tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Grace Hecht, and I'm proud to say that I'm the only candidate born and raised right here in Mohave County. I actually grew up just a couple streets from here on Church Street, and my family has been here for 250 years. I'm a proud member of the Daughters of the American Revolution on both sides of my family. So politics is not something that I'm running for. I'm running as a legacy from my family, which has been serving our country in every war for 250 years. When I graduated from Mohave High School, I became a missionary. I was born and raised in Calvary Chapel here, and I went to Calvary Chapel Bible College for 2 years, getting my degree in theology, and also going to over 30 different countries. Some of those countries were countries like Bulgaria and Romania, countries that had come out of communism and socialism. And that is something that is unfortunately knocking at our back door. We just saw what has happened in California and what's happened in New York. And I pledge to hold the line here in California against both of those things. When I moved back here to Bullhead, I became a teacher at Mohave Accelerated, where I taught for 5 years, and I got my EMT. I was also the school health attendant. I got married, and we started our family. Unfortunately, at 18 months old, my little boy, Timothy, stopped breathing, and he was care flighted up to Sunrise, like every little child here in our entire tri-state, and after 4.5 months, he passed away. Because of that, we started a nonprofit called Make Bullhead Better, and it now has over 35,000 followers, and we do incredible things in this community, and some of my board members are here. We are a 501c3, and we are working in our community to make it better, and we didn't ask for any government assistance. We did that through our community. Because of that experience, unfortunately, there were several deaths on city council. I was appointed to city council, and then I won a 2-year election. I'm running because I want to fight for local control, and I'm the only candidate up here that has experience on city council and knows what it means when the state tries to tell local and county governments what to do, and I will fight to protect our local control. Thank you very much.
Hello.
It must have been me. Can you hear me okay on this one? Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Ganuccio. I'm a 26-year resident of Mohave County. When I moved here, I moved to Meadview, Arizona. I was an equipment mechanic, and I graded lots for a living. My previous life, I worked on roads, did water lines, etc. for the state. When I was in Meadview, we had a problem with burglaries and whatnot, so I joined the sheriff's office. I wanted to clean up our town, and I did that for about 10 years before I got hurt in line of duty. When I left that service, myself and my wife started a farm in Parker, and we run a cattle ranch north of Kingman. Until this year, we ran about 36,000 acres of Angus cattle. At the end of this year, we'll be down to about 14,000. We're trying to retire a little bit. We enjoy supporting our community. We support rodeos. We donate the livestock, feed everything. We want it for the kids. We want to give back. When I got into ranching, we had a lot of issues in ranching, so I got involved about 5 years ago, and I won an election. I became president of Arizona Cattle Growers Association, and I did that for 2 terms for 4 years. And in that, it was legislation. We represented every ranch in the state of Arizona and a little bit of New Mexico on the legislative level. So that's where my career began as a volunteer at the Capitol. We worked from things from water to wolf management. We've got a bill going through that's in a study group to get 3 to 5 people paid by industry to go to each county to the sheriff's office to give positions in the rural areas that take care of our rural communities, along with cleaning up our BLM lands and state trust lands. Experience does matter. I had a lot of fun at the Capitol. My first year when elected, I got almost $22 million out of state budget to support my industry. What I'm asking is for your support to put me in legislature so I can go to work for you in other areas other than ranching and cattle. And I'll do really good, and I'll work really hard for you. I'm always available. Most people have my phone number. If not, it's readily accessible. If there's a concern you have, please call me. I'm here for you. Anyway, come July 21st, please vote Mike Ganuccio for one of your representatives. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm Catherine Lopez Rajanini, and I'm running for Arizona House of Representatives. This is my home. Many of you know me. I see so many familiar faces here. I see my mama. I started working at the age of 17, and I have not stopped working. I work tirelessly, and I will work tirelessly for us, for my home. At the age of 17, I started in the banking and financial industry and mortgage lending industry. From there, I went into the insurance industry, which I currently do now. 18 years ago, during the recession, I went into the construction industry with my husband, an industry I know nothing about, but we had to pull together as a team. And that's what we are. We are a team. All of us here, this is home. We all work together for a strong economy. And that's what I will continue to do for us. I will work with our local government. I will work with our county supervisors. I will work with our city council. Local control is so important. I have been giving back to this community way before this campaign started. I'm a Rotarian of 14 years, and I'm proud to be a Rotarian. I sit on the Mohave Valley Contractors Association for 15 years. I know about construction. I know about insurance. I know about banking, mortgages, all those important things that we all use and need. The other thing is I sit on the the Community Pride Advocates Board, our amphitheater that we have. I worked really hard on making sure that happened as a team with our other board members. Again, like I said, I've been giving back to this community long before this campaign started. And, you know, all of you being here today is so important because I know you guys want to pick the best candidate. And when I look at this being my home, we need somebody with a well-rounded background, with a resume. I normally hand out my resume because I want you guys all to know who I am, what I do, and what I have done. It's transparency, it's integrity, it's giving back to a home that is given to me. All you guys have been a part of who I am today, and that's why I'm up here asking for your vote. Again, I'm Catherine Lopez Rajanimi. I am the longest name on the ballot, and this is my home of almost 50 years. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the great state of Arizona.
Thank you all very much. We'll start with our first question. And David, you'll have 2 minutes to answer, and then we'll move down the line with each candidate after that. So if you can please describe your current sources of income, additionally disclose whether you're currently receiving or have received compensation, funding, or consulting fees, other support from nonprofit organizations, advocacy groups, political organizations, or outside entities that may influence your public service.
It's a great question. So I am a full-time pastor with a full-time salary. I'm a W-2 employee of Restoration Hope Church, and that's where my income comes from. And then if I go and, you know, in church world, if you're invited to go preach at a different church, they do a love offering, and of course that has to go towards your taxable income as well and is reported. So as far as receiving money from any outside influences, absolutely not. So I have received now in my campaign, PACs can give to your campaign, and the Arizona Nurses Association has donated to my campaign, as well as, let's see, anyone else there? No other PACs at this time, so that's it.
Thank you. Carolyn?
Yes, so the first part of the question is my sources of income. So I work per diem at several of the hospitals. I work at North Vista in Las Vegas, Nevada. I work at Exceptional in the ER as a per diem. I own my own clinic right here down off of Lakeside, and I think that's it. Am I forgetting? That's it. I have no PAC money. I actually, throughout my entire campaign, it's never been on my card, never posted throughout my website. I have zero PAC interest, zero special interest. The only donation that I have received was because an anonymous person, I don't even actually know who it is, but they donated $89 to my campaign. They found my campaign fund account and they put it in there, and my intention is when this is all said and done, I'm going to donate it to my church.
So my current source of income, my family, my husband, and he's owned a business here at Mohave Environmental Labs for 25 years. He is my #1 supporter. But I also have worked for Tri-State Community Healthcare for the last 6 years, doing as a community liaison and as their marketing person. I also, when I lost my last election, I became a real estate agent, and so I've been doing commercial real estate for the past almost a year and a half. And so those are my sources of income. Also, I have not received any money from outside PACs. I have been endorsed by the Arizona State Trooper Association, but I've not received any money from them. And I've received several donations from community members across our state, and I'm very grateful for that, as well as putting in a lot of my own money. So thank you very much.
Well, I can say my income, is it working? Okay. My income comes 100% from agriculture. Our farm in Parker, obviously, and then our beef. We sell you beef, put it in your freezer for $7.75 a pound. Call me, I'll butcher one up for you. You know, and that's the way it's been for probably about the last 16 years. I do get other sources of income. I'm an AC certified master tech, welder. I do grade checking, fabricating, etc. So, sorry, Pam. Anyway, I do get other sources of income coming in from that. Like today, I was building a 14-liter Cummins, put it in a semi-truck for another customer, but it's just a purely business deal that goes through my LLC. There's no favors. As far as my campaign goes, I did get from a few PACs some lobbyists and whatnot. It's hard for those guys not to send them to you when you work with them for years, but like one of the PACs I got was from the Arizona Chamber of Commerce PAC Association. So it sounds bad, but it's not. But everybody that's donated money to my campaign, I've been very clear, buys no favors. I'm going to do what is best for my community and my district. So thank you.
So as far as income, my sources of income have been through, kind of went over my resume, so different entities, insurance, construction. We do have a couple of investment properties that we do get income from, as well as some notes that we have carried. We are in the investment. We diversified ourselves when the recession happened. That's something that we continue to do. We don't want to keep all our eggs in one basket. I think that's a smart way to go. So I have other sources of income, mainly has to do with investments, and like I said, income from insurance. I put my insurance company and our construction company where I work. As far as my campaign, I've gotten donations from our local community, and I haven't received any donations from PACs or anything of that nature. I just got an endorsement from the Professional Firefighters of Arizona. That is a huge endorsement for me because I sat on the Fort Mohave Mesa Fire Board for 10 years. So they know what I do and what I've done and what I'm going to do for our district. So as far as receiving money from them, I have not. I don't know all the details on that as of yet. I'm sure I'll be finding that out in the next couple of days. Again, transparency is huge. So that is who I am. That's where my money comes from. So most of my campaign has been funded by ourselves. So thank you guys.
Question number 2, we're going to start with Caroline. Housing affordability is a growing concern across Arizona. What role should the Arizona legislature play in expanding affordable housing opportunities while protecting neighborhoods, property values, and our local control?
That's a good question, and because I forgot about it in the last part, I'm going to tack it on now. I also work at Mohave Community College, so it's kind of off my brain because we're on summer break. So I'll go back in the fall semester and be teaching in the classroom again. Affordable housing. So respectfully, I believe that we've actually had a major expansion in our population over the past 10 years. My concern is not necessarily expanding on the making affordable housing. I think that we've spent a lot of our money and we really need to be focusing on infrastructure. Our plumbing, our water, our energy, we need to be thinking about how we're going to get desalination. We need to think about how we're going to restore and recharge our reservoirs. We need to be thinking about mini nuclear plants. We have priorities. I just heard our GOP chairman, Sergio Ariano, say at one of the Kingman meetings, where we've had in this past year, up until this point, in 2026, we've had 15,000 new people, registered Republicans, come into the state. So respectfully, my priorities is the budget, which I think that we need to evaluate, find the fraud and waste. We need to focus on the infrastructure. And really, we need to be focusing on how we're going to make Arizona great again. Right now, the affordable housing crisis throughout Arizona, we used to be affordable, and now we're 48th in the state. So respectfully, I think that we have to make it affordable for families, but if we have poor quality in water, zero energy, why would people come to our state?
So there's a push in Phoenix to get rid of zoning and to take control away from local governments and counties. I am not for that. I am for streamlining the permitting process. That is something that could speed up a lot of things. In Mohave County, just in the last couple of years, they have digitized it, so you don't have to go in person. Every little step like that where we keep up with technology streamlines this process, saves a week, saves a couple weeks, and that's so important. Also in Kingman, I just went to their city council last week, and for commercial projects, they have the planning and zoning director come and give a report to city council, and they have a timeline, so the moment that they get that thing in the planning and zoning, they have a countdown clock, and so when the project is almost finished, they come to council and they report for how many days this has been. So it's just another layer of accountability, but it is local control. We do not need Phoenix putting mandates on our cities and counties that do not fit for our communities.
Affordable housing, as far as I'm concerned, Bullhead actually sets the standard for it as far as Catherine Heights goes. It's not a legislator's job to get you affordable housing. It's up to your community leaders to do it, and it's up to your legislature to support them and get them the tools they needed for things that go on. I'm absolutely all for affordable housing, but I'm not for putting it next to a place that's gonna just trash their property value. So I'll leave that to you and your community leaders, and if there's something that I can do for you in legislature to support it, I'm absolutely all for it.
So with affordable housing, I think my background in construction is going to help. Some of the things over the years that we have done that I do not think is challenged or looked at very carefully is adopting new building codes. We're always so quick to adopt new building codes. So the 2024 building codes that they want to adopt is going to affect commercial construction. It'll affect both residential and commercial. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but that knowledge and that information I will take with me to represent you so I can have those discussions so we can work on affordable housing. The average age for someone to purchase a home right now, a young person, to have that American dream, is anywhere from 38 to 40. It's getting further and further away. We need people representing us that have this knowledge. The other thing, I know Grace touched a bit on it, it's called the shot clock. So they did implement the shot clock on the county side, and that helps get, time is money, so it helps get the permit process flowing a lot faster. So when you pull a permit, you're not going to have to wait, and time is money, again, you're not going to have to wait to get that permit through the process so that you can start on that project. So there are some things that is on a county level that is being handled. Again, county control, local control, and I will be there to support that as well. But also my experience and knowledge I'm going to use to take with us to fight for affordable housing. So thank you guys.
Affordability is a major conversation that is happening at the Capitol right now. And my answer is this: government is not the answer to problems. And I think we can all understand that. Really the only thing that I would be in support of is pulling back the red tape for contractors when it comes to building. But it's up to your local government what that looks like, and I support a free market. But we also have to have the conversations, because the next generation, they're having this conversation, and they don't understand that government is not the answer to their problems, because they've been taught that it is. And so that's a two-part question. Government's not the answer, but legislature, we need to roll back the red tape and allow local government to run their communities, and the state needs to stay out of it. Thank you.
We'll start question 3 with you, Grace. Public safety remains a top priority for many voters. What are your priorities for ensuring that Arizona provides adequate resources, funding, and support for law enforcement, fire departments, and emergency services that serve our communities in District 30?
Thank you for the question. So, when you're on city council, your responsibility is to your local police department, which when I was on city council, we would have them come in front of us for the budget, and I always voted for everything that our police department wanted. In every city, it's different. Sometimes the fire department is part of the municipality, and sometimes it's not. Here in Bullhead, we have a separate taxing district, so it's a little bit separate. At the county level, then you have the sheriff. So we have our supervisors that will support the sheriff's department. And at the state level, we have our troopers, our Arizona State Troopers, the DPS, which I mentioned before, that they have endorsed me. And I got to go, just a quick story for this, I got to go to their building, the Arizona State Troopers building in Kingman, and it was built in 1967. They have not upgraded it since then. In Arizona, we've added 1,100 miles to our highways and not even one state trooper. We need people that will go and have these conversations and that will have relationships with people so that you can get things done on the local level and at the county level and at the state level. And you can't do that without having those relationships and that communication of what they actually need. So I'm very thankful to do that.
As a retired police officer, I can assure you law enforcement is at the top of my priorities. I will absolutely do whatever I can. I'll have communications with all our local agencies to see what I can do for them. And it's not just talk. So I was president of cattle growers, so we deal with range crimes and whatnot. And the Department of Ag deals with hoofed animals. And in the last 20 years, they've probably lost 20 positions. So a couple of years ago, we fought in legislature, got them I think we got them 3 new positions and some support to go with it, because the state keeps taking money from them all the time. So my promise is to get as much out of legislature without taking control of it. I still want our community leaders to tell me what they need, and I will fight to get it for them, just like we have in the past.
Sitting on the fire board for 10 years taught me the importance of emergency service and public safety. In our community, we all rely on public safety and emergency services. A lot of us, I think, we don't think about emergency services until we unfortunately have something happen. Sitting on the fire board for 10 years, I learned what we are going to be facing, the affordability of equipment, the affordability of being able to sustain is getting further and further away. With my experience and knowledge on that fire district, I know what we have to do. And we all need to have that assurance that we are going to be able to be protected when we call 911 and someone can either, our police department, our sheriff's department, our ambulance can get to us, and our fire truck. But right now, when I sat on that board, it started at $600,000 for a fire truck. It is now over $1 million. We cannot sustain that on a budget. So when it comes to emergency services and public safety, I back them 100%. Like I said, I just got endorsed by the Professional Firefighters of Arizona. Being on that board for 10 years, they know what I stand for. And I am going to make sure that we protect them just like we'll protect our community. You know, our firefighters and all of our emergency service personnel need to be protected as well. That's what I'm going to do for us.
So our current representatives have done an amazing job of bringing funding back to the district. And when I get to the State House, I will be meeting with every mayor and every city manager and city council members and figuring out the needs, because the needs here in Bullhead City are different than the needs in Colorado City and the needs in La Paz County, and really begin to prioritize the needs for funding to bring back to the local district. The reality is we're losing great law enforcement officers to places like Maricopa County, to San Diego, to Phoenix, to Vegas, and in order for that to stop, we need to bring funding back to the district that will help keep them here. We want them to live in our communities, we want them to raise their families here and retire here, and I'm committed to partnering with our local community leaders and making sure that happens. Thank you.
So I used to be a critical care transport nurse for Bullhead Fire Department. That was one of my first EMS jobs. And then I proceeded on to be a care flight nurse. So I have really, truly firsthand experience in working with EMS. And I think about my patients, the patients that I've picked up and flown to Vegas, throughout Phoenix, to Arizona Heart, and where it may be. I think about the patients in Meadview. I've flown out of Parker, I have flown out of Quartzsite, I have flown out of Yuma. And so, and just like David said, every county and every area of Arizona is very, very different, but we're all rural, and we really need to be advocating for our rural areas, and I will constantly, and I still am, and I'm thinking about our patients and what they need and how we can improve EMS services on the ground and in the air as well, providing equipment, services, and resources for them to improve our EMS and PD and safety services. And going back to the affordability, if we don't have public safety, then crime goes up. You know, fentanyl, trafficking goes up. I don't want Arizona to be affordable because we're a ghetto state.
Now we're going to go on to question number 4, and it's going to be starting with you, Mike. Water security is one of Arizona's most pressing challenges. What specific actions should the legislative take now to ensure a reliable and sustainable water supply for future generations?
So worst case scenario, unless we get our monsoons back this year and it rains for the next 10 years, our lakes are still going to dry up. We've discussed several times in legislature, and I think the appropriate action is to force Maricopa into their own desalination plant so that they can recharge Maricopa, maybe recharge a little bit south of Maricopa, and any of their excess water off of that pipeline they can recharge their ground with. In the event some of the rural areas start running out of water, we can tap into that pipeline without having a huge expense right now, and we'll just keep growing that water system until we get our rains back and start getting our groundwater back up to where it's up to par. But it also goes back to us also. We need to do more to recycle and make sure that we're recharging the water that we're using, to do our part to bring those back up. But I think at the current climate, the way Arizona's going right now and the way everything's growing, the only way we have a chance to survive is to get Maricopa on their own water system and make sure that they stay out of ours.
So water. Water is the lifeblood of our home. We need to have more conservation and more preservation. I've been talking about this for a while. Being in the industry that we are in, we will not have a strong economy, or everything will stop. Moratoriums will happen. So as far as making sure, and here's the thing, I have been going around to all different cities, towns, learning everybody's different issues with water, whether it's the Colorado River water, or it's the basins, or the aquifers, excuse me. And we have to be able to say that we are doing everything we can for conservation. You know, noxious plants is an issue, and I know that's just one little portion of it, but it's a start. Desalinization, that's another start. It's going to be a combination of of making sure we're going to have enough water for future generations. We have to start somewhere, and we have to start now. The contract ends before the end of this year, so we have to fight for our water. And as Mark Twain wrote, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting, and that's what we do. We're going to go up there and represent you and making sure that no more water leaves our area, that our water stays here and doesn't go anywhere. And making sure, whether it's in agriculture, when we're shipping our agriculture to out of the country and other areas, we have to stop that with these foreign companies coming in and leasing our land and then planting crops that are just sucking our water dry. We are the ones that have to stop that. So I'm going to make sure that no more water leaves our area.
So there's a few answers to this. Number one, stop sending our water to Maricopa County. They need to figure out their own plan and leave our water alone. Number two is you have to have someone in the legislature that knows how to kill bills. There's a lot of bills that are water bills that are ran that are all about taking our water, all while they refuse to hear any bill that our legislators want to write that will protect our water. And you got to have someone in the legislature that is a fighter and will push back against the establishment of Maricopa County and them trying to take our water. And then get rid of the foreign nations owning our land and opening up and doing alfalfa farms, soaking up our Arizona water, our rural Arizona water. And I cannot wait to drop that bill that bans the foreign nations from owning land and sending products back to their country using our own water here in Arizona. That's a problem. I met with a rancher in Salome, and Salome, their water allocation has been cut way back based on their population, and I met a rancher who ran out of his allocation and had to buy water from the Saudi farm. Think about that for a moment. An American-owned rancher had to pay water to a foreign nation for Arizona water. That's the type of things that are happening, and we must fight back against it and put a stop to it, and I'm committed to that. Thank you.
So at the state level, we really need to be investing and reevaluating our budget to be focusing on the water studies. We don't have the tangible, objective data to actually report to the public as to how much that we have. And we use a lot of terminologies, and I've looked at ADWR reports, and they used the words like projections, estimations. In other words, in layman's terms, these are best guesses. So at the legislature, we have to be investing in tangible. If I could have it my way, it would be every 5 years, but at a minimum of every 10 years. Also, respectfully, and I know this is beyond at the state level, but working with our federal elected officials such as Gosar, Representative Gosar, in ensuring that the treaty compacts that are older than my grandma from 1922, Arizona, we cannot trust. We can't trust Nevada. We can't trust Utah. We can't trust New Mexico and Wyoming. We need to advocate for our own state and ensuring that we have elected officials to reevaluate these treaties and understanding that we did have we had a mass population expansion coming from California. So these treaties need to be reevaluated so we can advocate and stand on our own and protect our water resources. I am against active management designation, and these temporary agreements, they're kind of a Band-Aid when it comes to irrigation non-expansive designation. What does that mean? It means that we really need to keep it at the local level. And when it comes to Maricopa County, we do have to fight them against getting off our backs, but we also need to work with them so we could fight the other states. So it's a double-edged sword. And so we do need our elected officials, but ultimately we have to be looking out for LD 30, and I intend to do that.
I think that when we talk about water, we need to talk about the people that have been fighting for our water for almost 20 years. So Supervisor Holly Irwin of La Paz County, she has been a supervisor in La Paz for 17 years, and she has been fighting so hard to keep their water there, and she is endorsing my campaign. Also, former AZ House Representative Regina Kopp, who fought for 8 years at the state legislature for our water, she's also endorsing me. I mention that because it's important. Those people were there at the state level, and they trust me to fight for our water. A couple of things, rural groundwater management areas. That is when these local areas, our local, like Kingman, La Paz, all of these different areas should have rural groundwater management areas where local control people can be in charge and find out how much is being pumped out of their area. Right now, wells can go in and there is no oversight. You can pump and we don't know how much is coming out. We need more oversight, but it needs to be local. Having an AMA or an INA is a blanket from Phoenix that just puts the state's control over our local areas. We need local control over our own water.
Do you support the current administration's immigration and border security policies, including increased funding for the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, expanded detention capacity within Arizona, and an advanced immigration enforcement operation? Please explain your position, describe how you believe these policies would impact Legislative District 30 and our state of Arizona. Catherine, that's to you.
So that's easy. Yes, I support closing our borders, keeping our borders closed, and I support whatever it takes. We need to do that. What we just previously had with our previous legislation wasn't okay. We had people coming in from everywhere. So my answer is simple. I do support that. But we need to... I do. That is, as long as it's government controlled, absolutely. We need to have our borders secure. And we need to make sure we go through the process. I'm actually second generation here, but my in-laws they came from Finland. They went through the process. They went through the immigration process. They came through Ellis Island. They went through that. Everybody should have to go through that. We need to be background checked. We need to know who is coming into our country. So absolutely. I really hope that answered your question. So thank you guys.
It's a simple answer. Absolutely, I support President Trump's in this administration's policy. I support ICE, and I would not think that you would truly be a conservative and be okay with what we have seen happening under the previous administration. They have literally done everything they can to destroy this nation by allowing communists and people in this into America that hate us, all because they wanted to rig elections, and that's part of the problem. And so deport all of them. I support President Trump's plan. As a school board president, we got a phone call whenever ICE first started raiding communities to go after the illegals to get them out of our country. And we started getting phone calls at the school district. Are you going to let them in your school? And the superintendent called me and said, it's your decision. I said, absolutely, open the door. If ICE needs to come into our schools, we will support it. They didn't. There was no issues, but we will not stand in their way. And I support everything that the president and this administration has done to save America from foreign influence. Thank you.
So I think President Trump has done a great job in securing our border. Of course, the wall cannot be built fast enough. I wish that it would go faster. And we had, I think the projections were 10 million people, but I think in reality it is probably 15 plus million. That's what I anticipate. I think Trump has done a great job. The White House press release states that they have a total, an estimation, a projection of 2.5 million who have been deported. And I have absolutely no problem with every single person who is not a violent criminal, telling them respectfully, you need to leave our country, but absolutely giving them the process and the option to come back so that they can be a citizen, green card, and apply and come back into our state. But the fact of the matter is our veterans are suffering, our kids are suffering, all of my patients on, my elderly patients that are struggling to pay for gas, food, their prescriptions, they are all suffering. And unfortunately, we just cannot afford as the taxpayers to pay for these people to take jobs, housing, and resources from our population. So absolutely, I support ICE, and we are America. We allow legal immigration as well. And so as long as it's part of the process, let them back in. But they need to be established and they need to be following the law. It's a really simple concept. Yes, I support ICE and I support keeping our borders secure.
One thing that I think is really important to remember when you talk about keeping the border secure is how do we actually do that? So when I was speaking to the Arizona State Trooper Association, they said that 3/4 of our state is not patrolled from midnight to 5 a.m. And when I went to Quartzsite, that is a juggernaut where all of these people that do get through the border go through there. And guess what? Our fentanyl comes from there. Our sex trafficking comes from there. Our labor trafficking comes from there. But good news, when I was at Quartzsite, I was at a coffee shop, and there were two guys that worked the border. They work for a private security company that works for ICE. And I said, hey, how's it going down there? And they said, you know what? For a year, we have been cut back to 30 hours a week. We're actually thinking that we have to move because we can't live here because we don't have enough work, which that is a huge success and a huge win, thanks to President Trump. That's a great problem to have. However, when I was at the Kingman facility, the state paid for that, the state trooper location, to have an emotional support animal. When they are not paying their troopers, and the troopers are so understaffed that they're having to do mandatory overtime. Something is wrong. We need to pay our state troopers and our ICE workers so that they can patrol our state and keep these people off of our highways and out of our communities.
I think everybody else already got out how I felt. Our border's secured. Our president's done a great job. Katie Hobbs needs to step aside and stay aside so we can keep it secured. I support ICE. I support all our law enforcement. They don't get enough. It's as mentioned. You know, our law enforcement's under attack. They keep trying to get things out like qualified immunity, etc. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore. And most people don't understand how hard the job is. So if you see a cop, thank him. Thank him for what he does. It's a big deal. And in legislature, let's absolutely do what we can to keep our borders closed, secured, and our law enforcement happy.
Question number 6, and this goes to Rebecca. David. The state fuel tax has not been increased in more than 20 years. While the cost of constructing, maintaining, and repairing state highways has risen significantly during the same period, do you support increasing the fuel tax to address transportation funding needs? If not, what alternative funding sources or policy solutions would you propose to reduce the backlog of state highway maintenance and infrastructure projects?
So I'm a huge no on raising any taxes. Absolutely not. I would never support that. But our HERF funds is a problem, and so we need to look at, first of all, Representative Gillette has been leading the investigations in the fraud, waste, and abuse happening in this state. And he has done an amazing job exposing all of the fraudulent spending that Governor Hobbs has been doing, and we take those funds that we know the state has and redirect them and reallocate them for transportation, and rural Arizona fight to get our roads fixed. But absolutely no raising taxes, absolutely not. That is not the way to do that. Thank you.
And so I agree. I'm fully opposed. Gas is expensive enough. I literally had to buy an EV. I had to get an electric vehicle, which I'm not about, any green New Deals, none of that nonsense. It was literally because I had a huge diesel truck and gas was so expensive at the pump that I bought a used electric vehicle. And again, that puts a different kind of dependency and stress financially as well, because then we're worried about power. But to answer the question, no, I oppose the fuel tax. Gas is expensive enough. The answer is not to raise taxes. And what we need to do, and the reality is that Arizona has the revenue, and that Governor Hobbs, before she became our elected official, she had a surplus in the state legislature. The legislature did a great job. They had a balanced budget, and she actually had a credit. And then when she got into office, she not only spent and burned through the entire funding, but she's actually in a deficit. And when you have these absolutely ridiculous pet projects. She spent $500 million to fix Chase Field. Well, I don't know how many of us in LD30 are going down to watch the Diamondbacks games, but she lost $122 million in fraudulent COVID funds, and Arizona has the revenue. We don't need to raise taxes. We need to find the fraud and waste, and we need to get Governor Hobbs out, but no to the tax.
I am also opposed to raising taxes, but for the state fuel tax that we do have, you need to vote for somebody that will go up there and will fight so that we get our fair share. All that money goes into a pot at the state, and you have to have people like David mentioned, our legislators that are up there. I'm proud to say that I'm endorsed by Senator Hildy Angus, and Senator Angus, Gillette, and Biasucci have been a great team and have fought for our district. We definitely need to remember that who you send up there needs to be a great teammate with hopefully Senator Biasucci that will be elected next year. You need people that will fight together so that we can get these funds that should be ours at the local level.
I too am an absolute no on new taxes. But you take our roads, hurt funds aside, what is our issue with our roads? Our cars are getting better fuel mileage, and our previous government has pushed the EVs so hard, they're not paying for any road taxes. So the more EVs we got on the road, the less money we have coming through our state taxes to take care of these roadways. Though I'm not in support of raising taxes, we do have to find a balance to where everybody's paying their fair share to keep our roads going. So I would like to be a part of that study group so that we can figure out how to get a balance so that we can make it easier for everyone to get their vehicles on the road. And again, we still need to fight really hard to make sure Mohave County gets its fair share of its money to keep our roads updated also.
It's always hard going last because everybody just answered the question. But definitely no new taxes and no increase on taxes. Absolutely not. But the one thing with our infrastructure that is huge when it comes to insurance, you know, being in the insurance industry for 23 years now, our roads, you'd be surprised, some of our quotes that we give people that move here from California thinking, oh, it's going to be so much cheaper, we're in Arizona, sometimes it's more. And a lot of it has to do with our infrastructure, our road infrastructure, the traffic, the accidents. So we do have to find a balance. We have to figure out where and be able to fight for our fair share. That's what our current representatives currently do. They fight to make sure we get our fair share so we can have better roads, newer routes. We only have one way in and out, and we have so many accidents every day. So we need people up there who understands and can speak the language on why we need more money and our fair share so we can have better infrastructure.
We'll start with Carolyn. If you're elected, would you pledge not to write or sponsor legislation that further takes over our rights of our cities and our county?
The simple answer is yes. For example, as a healthcare provider, I survived the pandemic. I did not take the COVID shot, and there were consequences to that. I got a religious exemption, but ultimately, yeah, I left the hospital. I had to go do online kindergarten for my son, and my daughter was just not even a year old at that time. And so recently, because of that, I was contacted by Dr. Bowden, and she's part of the Americans for Health Freedom, and I have, for example, signed a pledge that, one, I will never take the COVID shot for myself, and I will also not take big pharma donations to impose and to tell people to infringe on their rights and to limit their constitutional freedoms. And these rights are not given by people, it's given by God.
I think I've been really clear you guys are probably tired of hearing it by now, but local control is so incredibly important. So I would absolutely never vote for something that removes local control. Senator Angus has done such a great job up there. She told me the other day, she said, Grace, when you get up here, you're going to realize that there are so many bills that you think you might want to push forward, but on the other side, there's so many bills that you need to work to kill, because there's so many bills that try and take local control away, and we don't want that. I'm happy to say that I am also endorsed by 13 different locally elected officials across our district, vice mayors, mayors, city council members. And you know, the vice mayor in Colorado City, he said, Grace, I'm endorsing you because you've sat in our seat. You've sat on city council, and you know what it means to have somebody try and take local control away from us. And I know you won't do that. I know you'll protect us.
Grace is right, local control is the most important thing. And I think it's why every one of us, the majority of us, are running, is to make sure that we can support our local government. We're not going into legislature to help the state gain anything. We want to get our fair share from the state and make sure that they can't put their thumb on us and tell us how we're going to live our lives. So my promise, no new taxes, not into raising taxes, not giving the state any control of our district from the Strip all the way to Yuma. No control. Every local government should have its control, and it will be my job to support them and get them the tools and supplies they need to get what your bidding is for them.
I definitely support local control. This has been my home of almost 50 years. I have seen Bullhead City grow. Our local government and our county supervisors have done amazing. We have such a beautiful home, and it's all local control. We have amazing parks. We have amazing help on infrastructure, but then again, that's fighting for more money for our fair share so we can have that. We took over Highway 95, local control. They're doing amazing. Bullhead City is doing amazing. I support local control 100%. We're up there going to be fighting to make sure that we get our fair share of monies, because we all pay taxes. We want our money back here, home, so we can have what we deserve to have and keep local control.
I support local control, but I also support the citizens of every community of which I'll be representing. And we watched during COVID, even local government violate people's constitutional rights. Let's just be honest. And that's unacceptable. So I am committed to writing legislation that will prevent local government from closing churches, closing businesses, and making you mask up. Unacceptable. It should never happen again. We as a nation should look back and learn our lesson and say we will never, ever allow that to happen again as a country. One of the greatest, one of the only times Charlie Kirk was ever wrong, Charlie's a good friend of mine, is when he said churches would not close. Whenever they started closing churches, Charlie said they're not going to bow, they're going to rise up. And churches did the opposite, because we know, they were twisting scripture and, it says bow to the government. No, absolutely not. And I will protect your rights even from local government. If they are violating your constitutional rights, my job as an elected state representative is to protect you. Thank you.
All right, Grace, the next question is to you, starting with you. Rural hospitals across the country continue to face financial challenges and closure risk, raising concerns about access to health care in underdeserved communities. What policies or actions would you support to help prevent hospital closures in our state and protect access to health care services in our district? Please explain your plan to ensure long-term stability and availability of local health care.
So as I mentioned before, for the last 6 years, I've worked for Tri-State Community Healthcare, which is a FQHC, which is a federally qualified health clinic. Those clinics were created, I think, in 1968 because people were using the emergency room as their primary care. Unfortunately, that is still what happens. People in our rural areas don't have insurance, and they don't go to the doctor, And FQHCs were created so that people could go to the doctor, get a primary care if they have access, or if they have state insurance, if they don't have any insurance, because it's going to cost us more if they use the emergency room as their primary care. Another thing you mentioned about hospital closure, so fighting for our rural area, there was money set aside for rural area through the federal government and allocated to different states. We didn't get as much as we wanted, but we need people that are at the state legislature that will fight to get that money directly to our area. And then access, I'm happy to say that just this last week I was able to help recruit a doctor, and that Tri-State Community Healthcare, because North Country closed in our area, will hopefully be opening another clinic here in Bullhead in the next couple months.
I think back to when I moved to Arizona 26 years ago. I had great insurance and I could afford it. And then we got Obama and ruined it. We have so much waste, fraud, abuse, and I'm not saying any entity is doing it, but I'm in the hay industry as part of my farm. And if I send a load of hay to the federal government, they pay me $10,000 a load, and I can't lower it. And if I send you a load of hay, you'll get it for $6,000. You see an issue? We need people with common sense in legislature to make sure, yes, we want to give hospitals money. We want to make sure they get it done right. But I want to make sure there's no waste, fraud, and abuse, and they're not wasting your taxpayer money to get it. But I will absolutely support growing any medical facility in the right fashion, in the right way, and I will do whatever I can do to get rid of this current medical system we have, because it's just killing all of us.
So, healthcare. We have great physicians in the area we can work with, whether they're current physicians, retired physicians. I think we need to start working with physicians, anybody in the medical industry that can help us. We need incentives. When I worked in the financial institution, we had a program that the local hospital had created, and it was to bring physicians to our area. And they gave it an incentive to help them create their own practice. So that's what we need. We need physicians that'll come here and stay here so that we can have doctors. Our doctor just recently moved away. So now we're left scrambling to find another physician. So rural Arizona is so difficult to keep physicians here. There needs to be incentives, and it can be done. We need people who can represent us and that will work with physicians to come up with programs. I also, when Obamacare happened, I am an insurance agent. I sell health insurance. I stopped selling individual health insurance because they wanted me to get certified again. I'm like, why? I'm already licensed to sell insurance. Now I have to get certified to sell Obamacare. I saw the writing on the wall. I never got certified. And look at where we're at now with Obamacare. It's not working. We need change. And we need people up at the Capitol helping that discussion for us. So, and we need people with that experience. Thank you.
I was endorsed by the Arizona Nurses Association because I've made a commitment to working to fix rural health care. It is a problem not just in rural Arizona, but in rural communities all across this nation. And so how do we fix it? First, we got to have conversations with the people in the field, our nurses, our doctors, and find out what the real issues are, and then begin to have those conversations. You've got to start with the conversation. And then recently had a conversation with one of the directors of Banner Healthcare. Banner is interested in coming to rural Arizona. They are looking at our part at Mohave County. They know that we have a lack of women's health care. We have a lack of children health care. We are lacking not just for us, but look at, I'm going to extend this to our veterinarian services. This is a problem in rural Arizona. As your next state representative, I am committed to having the conversations, meeting with the right people, and helping fix the problem and stop kicking the can down the road. Thank you.
So the system seems to be flipped. When my son went to go register for baseball, I had to provide a birth certificate, a utility bill, and a social security card. And yet, when you go into healthcare or when you go to the hospital, you don't have to provide any type of legal registration as to whether you're even a citizen. Unfortunately, and I was actually a provider at Tri-State Community Health, when you go there as a patient, you don't have to pay the bill. You can just get services, see the provider, get labs ordered, radiology treatment, get prescriptions, and you can be homeless or you can be you're just a regular citizen, and you can leave. You don't have to pay the bill. So then who's responsible for that? We are. Yeah, so the system is completely flipped, and there is respectfully a reason why North Country Healthcare, and I did clinicals there as well, they went bankrupt. So the system is fractured, and we need better answers. Thankfully, we do have rural funding coming down the pipelines, but ultimately, we really need a constraint on our budgets, okay? It's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be painful, but until the government can prove that they are going to be responsible with our tax dollars, I don't think we should be expanding their budgets at all. And then lastly, again, to making things more affordable, if we deport all these illegal people and get them off of access, get them off of Medicaid, get them off of Medicare, then we will have more revenue for people who actually pay taxes and are legally able to be here.
Okay, to follow up a little bit with that, we'll start with you, Mike. What legislative priorities would you pursue to enhance our quality of life, strengthen our community, make rural Arizona an attractive place to live, work, and to raise a family?
Well, it kind of goes through everything that we've been talking about. We want to cut the red tape, make it easier for businesses to start. We want to get more infrastructure into our district so our kids have jobs in 10 years. The only way we're going to get what we're all looking for is to get our infrastructure up, get our roads put the way they should. We can beautify our town and give a place for our kids to go. And right now we don't. We're outgrowing what we have. And if we don't get something in here for our families to come to, they're going to be forced to leave, which I don't want my kids to leave. I want to see more businesses come in, and I want to see them be able to get into business cheaper. That way they can make more money and they can have more employees, put my kids to work so they can afford the houses that we have here without trashing my values of my house so that they can have a place to live. We have to find a way to make the system fair, and I look forward to being part of it. Thank you.
Can you please repeat the question one more time? Thank you.
What legislative priorities do you pursue to enhance the quality of our life, strengthen the communities, make rural Arizona an attractive place to live, and work, and raise a family?
So rural Arizona is already an attractive place to live. That's why most of us are here. That's why I chose to stay here. That's why it's still my home of almost 50 years. But we need to, as Mike said, infrastructure. There's things we have to work on. Making sure we get our funds, our fair share of funds here so we can continue to grow, have affordable housing. There, for the youth, we have beautiful parks. There is so much more that we can have. Bringing physicians here, education, better education. I believe in school choice, but we need help with that, right? So we need to have areas where kids can come here and enjoy and have the education they deserve. I believe in the trades. We have a trade. We invested in a trade school 20 plus years ago. We were co-founders, and that school brings people here that are going to be able to have jobs and provide. It's growth, so it'll continue to grow and provide for us in the area. Thank you.
Strong communities raise strong families. So we start with fixing education. We've done that at the Lake Havasu Unified School District whenever we took funding and redirected it back to the classroom. Before we did that, our school district, just like here, was hiring foreign teachers. That's a problem because many of them don't understand our way of life. There was a language barrier. It was a problem. And so we were able to stop hiring foreign teachers, hire American teachers, and put back together a strong school. That is important. Whenever people are moving to a community, one of the first things they look at is what are the schools like. Whenever you move to a neighborhood, things you look at is What is the neighborhood like? What's the crime like? What's the school district like? Those things matter, and as your next state representative, I'm committed to working with your local government to making strong schools, not just in Bullhead City, not just in Lake Havasu, but all across the state of Arizona by running legislation that holds school districts accountable. It starts there. Number two, trade schools. We want our children to stay in our community. Not every child wants to go to college. So we need trade schools and internship opportunities for our next generation. And then affordable housing for me, it's more workforce development and, again, pulling back the red tape. I don't believe that as government, it's my responsibility. As a state representative, I can't make your job, your life better with more legislation. We just seen 2,000 bills ran this past session. We don't need more legislation. We need common sense government and someone that is going to work hard, represent you, defend our way of life, and work on the things that need improved, and I'm committed to doing that. Thank you.
So kind of going back to what the RISE acronym, my priorities. So we need to focus on the budget. We need to focus on our infrastructure. If we have zero energy, poor water, terrible education, our roads are, distraught, and all of our tires are getting popped, why would people want to come here? So in order to make Arizona more affordable, it has to be somewhere where we want to live. I don't want to be worried. I'm already worried about my kids. Kids don't ride their bikes outside anymore because we have, people, we're a high trafficking state. We've got Las Vegas to the north, we've got Mexico to the south, and we have the I-40, the I-10. Unfortunately, Arizona is an easy target. We have some of, all of our trucking facilities and the truck stops. We have to worry about what's coming in, drugs, crime, fentanyl. And so, honestly, we just have to prioritize our budget, our infrastructure, our safety, and then our education and our healthcare, and those are just my priorities.
So legislative priorities would be to fight to get funding so that I can give it to the counties and the cities, because when I was on city council, there are so many things that you can get done because you're listening to your community. So when I got on city council, it was 2021, and we were in the height of COVID. Doug Ducey had given money to all the Boys and Girls Club, and I called all of them, and I said, hey, do you have any openings? This was before school even got out, and none of them had any openings. So when I was on city council, I asked Mayor Brady, I'd only been on there for like 2 weeks, and I said, hey, we have an amazing Parks and Recreation program. Why don't we do a summer camp? And Mayor Brady said, yeah, we should do that. And so the rest of the council agreed, and that summer camp is going strong. My girls have gone for the last 4 weeks, and they have over 2,000 kids coming. Wally Wombats is an indoor children's playground that is opening soon. Our parks are generating so much money with sports tourism. We can do more for our communities by empowering the local leaders and giving them the resources, cutting the red tape, keeping taxes low so that they can help their specific communities thrive.
So we're down to our last question, starting with you, Catherine. Arizona voters often express frustration with partisan gridlock. How would you work with members of both parties to achieve meaningful results of the residents of Legislative District 30, even when political differences exist?
Wow. We've definitely seen that a lot these days, to the point where I've been accused as a rhino for attending an event that was a nonpartisan event. That has to stop. We have to be able to reach across the table and have productive conversations with elected officials or with other candidates. It's what we need to do if we're going to be able to all get along and get things done for our community. I went to that 250 celebration at the Bullhead Bell, and I had a conversation with our local fire district regarding issues that we have, and it was with 2 elected officials, Fontes and Mays. It's being able to reach across the table to have the conversation for my community. Health and services is so important, and I did that. And like I said, because I did that, social media, it's amazing. I was accused of being a rhino. That's unfortunate that we have gotten to that point where, because we extend our hand across and have a conversation that is about the health and safety of our community and our firefighters, and that's what the discussion was. So that needs to change. And I think we need to lead by example, be welcoming to everybody into our parties. I've not seen that, and that is very, very disappointing. How did our mamas and daddies raise us? They raised us to get along with everybody, to welcome everybody, and that is what we need to start doing, going back to how we were raised. Thank you.
So, as former Senator Borelli will tell you, the Capitol is the viper pit. And there is the reality is, there's only a handful of Democrats at the legislature that are willing to sit at the table and work on legislation. The Democrat Party's not the same anymore. There is a lot of communist, radical leftists who have gotten elected into the legislature that have zero interest in working with the Republican Party. That's just the reality. I'm willing to sit at the table. I'm already doing that now on our governing board. We're a 3-2 board. We have 3 Republicans to 2 Democrats. And as the president of our governing board, I was able to get the Democrats on my board to vote yes on banning DEI. I was able to get the Democrats on my board to vote yes on banning boys and girls sports and boys and girls bathrooms. I was able to get them to vote yes on a no grooming policy in our district. All conservative policy that most Democrats would never, ever vote yes on. They actually got attacked by their own party for working with us. How did we get that done? By sitting at the table, having a conversation, and making it make sense. If you can sit at the table with common sense Democrats all day long, they are willing to have that conversation. But the reality is the radical left are all getting elected in, and common sense Democrats are leaving their party and coming to our side because their party has been hijacked by crazy people. Thank you.
So being in this race, I have to be very cautious. So I'm a local healthcare provider, and I'm also a small business owner. I never want any of my patients or even my potential customers to not come to my business because I've got an R on my forehead. When it comes to the reality is that I treat everybody, you're just a human being. You're a person to me. I don't care about your political views, and quite frankly, it is our responsibility. We live in a democracy where we have to prove why our viewpoints are superior to yours. So if you can't come with the defense or the facts or to prove as to why our ideas are superior, then perhaps you shouldn't be our elected official. But ultimately, we do have the crazy left that are unhinged, and unfortunately, they have destroyed, we can take a look at all of the social experiments around our country, and we can see where the leftist policies, they are about destruction. They are making things unaffordable. And, I don't talk to my family about visiting San Francisco because I'm worried about the safety. I'm worried about the dirtiness, and I don't want Arizona to become an example of that.
So something that would help this a lot is to elect a Republican governor. If we could do that, that would be a huge help. So everybody, I know you're here and you're going to vote. So we need to elect a Republican governor. I'm pleased to say that Senator Angus got all of her bills passed. Every single bill that she worked on, she got passed. She did that by working with the other side and doing common sense legislation. There are so many bills that are written at the House that are written so that Katie Hobbs will veto them, so that they can say she vetoed another one. That is not productive. I am going up there to do a job and to get work done, not for drama. I'm going to go up there to get work done. Yeah. That's it. I'm just going to go up there and get work done.
It's got to be tough for you guys looking at us having 2 open seats, trying to pick the person that's going to represent you the best. So to answer this question, how do you walk across the aisle to make it work? I'm retired now. I was volunteer president representing an organization that spanned the state. Some of the bills that I ran, I wanted a food grade bill to make sure you knew where your food was coming from. Passed 35 to 20, and that was HB 2244. Vehicle load restrictions, it was for my industry. It passed 7 to 11. My favorite one, for one of our communities, people here, it was a criminal damage thing. I'm all into law enforcement, I can't help it. It's criminal damage. I talked Representative David Cook into doing it for me, and I wrote it and I sent it to him, he agreed with it. Passed 55 to 0. That's everybody. You have to be able to reach across to get it done. When I was president of Cattle Growers, I had Democrats, Republicans, P&Ds, independents, and they're all ranchers. Imagine getting 300 ranchers in a room. They don't get along. And I had to be the guy in the middle to get it done. I was happy to do it. And I have, it's proven. I'm proven to do it. So please give me the chance to let me show you. Thank you.
I want to thank all of you candidates tonight. This is going to wrap up our portion of the questions. At this time, we will give each candidate a chance for a 90-second closing. We'll start with you, David.
First, I want to thank all of you for coming out and being here this evening. It has been a great honor to be here and to answer these questions. And you have a great choice up here of candidates who all want to represent you. And I've been endorsed by Representative John Gillette because he trusts me to replace him. He knows I'm a fighter. I'm already fighting now, doing the work on the local level, and I would have love the great honor of representing you at the state level. And you have to elect a team. You have to have 2 legislators. There's going to be 2 brand new state representatives to go to the state capitol to work with getting ready, currently Representative Biasucci, who will be Senator Biasucci. And we've had a great team with him and Representative Gillette, Senator Angus, and before that, Senator Borelli, who have worked hard together. They've not always agreed on everything, but they've always worked and agreed to represent this district well. And I want to be part of that team and continue to represent Legislative District 30 and do great things and strengthen our communities and strengthen our state and make Arizona great again. My name is David Rose. You can go to votedavidrose.com. If you have questions, I'll be available afterwards. God bless you. God bless the great state of Arizona. Thank you for being here.
So we do have a great slate of candidates, and I think, trying to set myself apart, I am a healthcare provider and an educator. And for those of you who don't know, does anybody know how many legislators actually have healthcare experience or policy knowledge? 5? Yep, so it's less than 5. So if you didn't go to our previous forums and debates, then you would know that we have less than 5 representatives at the state capitol that are dictating $4.4 billion of your state tax money. So with that being said, I am an educator. That combination of experience allots me for firsthand experience. I've already been fighting the insurance companies. I've advocated for patients. I'm credentialed with Medicaid, Medicare, and I think this gives me a unique advantage at being at the state level, which accounts for more than 60% of the general Arizona state budget. So I love Mohave County. My family loves Mohave County, and it would truly be just simply an honor to be your representative. So my name is Caroline Strecker. Visit my website at streckerforstate48.com, and I'll be available for questions should you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. I just want to say that I have been working for our community for the past 6 years, volunteering with Make Bullhead Better, and we have done incredible things. I'm so thankful for the time and experience that I had on Bullhead City Council, and I have a track record of the things that I've done for our community. If you send me to the House of Representatives, I will continue to work to represent you, to pass a balanced budget, to go through it line by line, to write good legislation that will help affect our communities in a positive way, and to be, one thing that we didn't mention up here tonight is to be a community advocate and constituent services. When I was at a meet and greet that I did in Kingman, there was a man that came, a single father with 5 children, and he had been trying to get his SNAP and his health care access since October. And with one call to Senator Angus's assistant in a week, he was able to get that. That is something that we as representatives need to do at your local level, at your county level, and at your state level, and at your federal level. We are here to serve you. If you elect me, I will serve you to the very best of my capabilities.
First and foremost, thank you for being here tonight and giving us the opportunity to speak to you. It's got to be tough having this many people wanting to do this position and for you trying to figure out who's going to do the best. So I'm going to put my ask out there, and I say this a lot. We're all working to be a team. So when you have a team, you pick your pitcher, your first baseman, everyone that does the best for what they've got in that position. You have the same thing. You're going to have a senator, you're going to have 2 representatives. Pick your candidates accordingly. Pick the vast experience of your candidates. You're going to have 2. The farther apart they are, the more you're going to get done for your district. I'm a retired police officer, I'm a rancher, I'm a farmer, I'm a mechanic. I've got a lot of life experience, and I look forward to looking at some of these contracts that they try and swindle us out of so that we can make sure that they don't get their little piece of waste, fraud, and abuse in their pocket. I can't stand it. I want to make sure that we're getting our fair shake and no one else is taking our money. So please, on July 21st, please vote Mike Anuscio as one of your next representatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to come out tonight. So our biggest thing is budget. That is our biggest job, is the budget. Let our resumes speak for themselves. I have been working since I was 17 years old. I have a diversified background. That is important. The other important thing, this has been my home of almost 50 years. If you don't think I'm going to fight for us, you need to ask this man right here, because I fight every day for our home. I've been giving back to this community, Rotarian, for 14 plus years. Contractors Association, learning as much as I can so I can be here to fight for our home. It is going to be a tough decision. We all have great qualifications, but I ask you guys to vet us. Look us all up. Find out who we are, what we do, and what we've done. This is my home of almost 50 years. You don't think I'm going to fight for us? You guys have no idea. I am a fighter, and I will fight for all of us. Because again, this is my home, and I have grassroots here. My daughter, my goddaughter, that's my family, and my mama. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending this evening's Arizona Legislative District 30, and thank you, candidates. We hope you have received information that will help you cast an educated vote on July 21st. Early voting starts Wednesday. Should you like to review tonight's event, you can view it on the Bee's Facebook page, YouTube channel. Have a great evening and safe travels. Thank you again, all the candidates.